Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 35 of Swiss Army Sports. Today is January 14th in the Big 26, and I got the date right on the slides. I'm pretty fired up about it. Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm
Let's
your host,
go.
Will Spain, former. Yeah, I know, right? I'm your host, former long snapper for the Troy Trojans, Osby Governors, and partially Houston Cougars, Will Spain. Joined by my side, former offensive lineman for the Hendricks College Warriors, current man of electricity, Luke Wallman. And the former kicker for the Houston Christian Huskies and Troy Trojans, current nephew of Troy's men's basketball coach, Scott Cross. Chase Cross, thank you, Chase, for joining us once again virtually. I keep saying that like he's a guest. Well, today's agenda, guys. We're starting to get in the time of the year. Now we're actually able to cover a wide variety of things and don't have to keep talking about college football as it's very prevalent here in the South. But we do have football still, the NFL divisional round picks and preview. We gave you our championship picks last episode. If you want to go back and listen to that on episode 34 on Spotify and YouTube. College basketball reactions for Monday and Tuesday. It was a packed action, especially yesterday. College basketball picks for this upcoming week until Sunday. We will record on Monday when I get back in town from Auburn. College basketball mid-major games to watch. NHL recap from Monday and Tuesday, as well as the NBA. PGA Tour kicking back off in Hawaii with the Sunny Open. We're back with darts. The Bahrain Darts Masters starts the PDC calendar. The EPL match day, 22 picks and preview. I'm excited for this. I know Chase is too. It was my little surprise for him is that we were going to do a full slate picks and preview for the EPL. And then who's hot and who's not to conclude our episode. Divisional round. We are in agreement for a lot of these games. Starting off on Saturday at 3:30 Central Time, we have the Bills and the Broncos in Mile High in Denver. We are all on the Bills. I'll kick us off. I was a little bit hesitant on this one, to be honest with you, because they are so thin in this wide receiver room. But they still have Khalil Shakir. They have two very versatile tight ends that they can still work with. And, I feel like Josh Allen, like y'all said, it's his time, and he kind of has to do it now. So I'm going to ride with Buffalo here. Luke, why are you riding with the Bills? And I want to add, because the Broncos are frauds and Bo Nix sucks. All right, go ahead.
I think that defense, it's going to be very interesting. The defense for Denver is obviously one of the best in the league, and that is the only reason I have hesitation. But I think it's destiny for Josh Allen this year. You don't have to go to Arrowhead at all. You're staying away from the cheating refs of Arrowhead and all that crap. They're going to beat the Broncos. They're going to end up going to the Super Bowl.
I like it. Chase, why do you like the Bills?
Arguably, I'd say they beat an even better defense and a better team last week. Like, I haven't been overly impressed with the Broncos this year, but that Jags team was playing as good as anybody and was as hot as anybody. And I saw Josh Allen literally put the Bills on the back. He got no help in the run game, and he played flawless and carried them to a victory. I don't think there's going to be anything different in this Broncos game, and I think Bo Nix is going to struggle in this one too. I think the Bills defense with Joey Bosa has stepped up, but it's just Josh Allen's time. It's his destiny, like we talked about. I think he gets it done, and I think he gets it done convincingly.
Fair enough. The night game for Saturday is an NFC West matchup that we have seen twice, and it's produced two bangers. Yeah. But I cannot say these are the two same teams playing, even though they are. The Niners head to Seattle and play the Seattle Seahawks. Chase, you went with the Niners. Me, the producer, and Luke went with the Seahawks. I'll kick us off. One, I think the Seattle offense is very prolific with Jackson Smith and Jibba on the outside. Cooper Kupp in the slot. Sam Darnold's played great. And now there is a threat, again, as the Vikings being my second team. I had an aneurysm last year when Sam Darnold was in the playoffs. However, he was getting pressured the entire time. It's just the Niners have so many injuries at this point. They're just piling up. And this isn't an anemic offense like we saw with Philadelphia. I just like Seattle. Based on that, honestly, if both these squads were healthy, I'd probably take San Francisco. But home field advantage, 12th man, and the injuries are piling up for San Francisco. I think Buffalo can get over the hump with it. I do not think San Francisco can. Luke, what do you think about the Seahawks?
See, I'm torn because I really was going to pick the Niners here. I honestly, like I said last episode, I think the winner of this goes to Super Bowl for the NFC because I think the Bears obviously win, according to my pick, and then the Bears bear. But anyways, I just think Seattle's going to be able to do enough to get it done at home tonight or in this night game because that Niners team scares me. Every time they've been to the playoffs in the last 5 or 6 years, they've gone to the NFC Championship at the minimum.
Yeah.
This is with injuries. This is with everything. They go to the NFC Championship at the minimum. So that's why I kind of do like Chase's pick here of them winning. I'm definitely sprinkling money line. No doubt about it. But
I can't say I'm going to stay away from it either.
I mean, but I think Seattle's going to be able to clutch up. That defense is so good. So,
and I will preface this: I am 5 out of 6 on betting on these NFL playoff games. But Chase, Niners.
Well, I think I'm going to piggyback a little bit off y'all. I think Sam Darnold last year in the playoffs kind of taught me to stay away from Sam Darnold in the playoffs. That I mean, he had arguably a better season last year than even this year, and you saw what happened. And I'm not saying he's going to play as bad because he's not. But this Niners defense under Robert Saleh has actually sneakily been very good, and I think they will. I mean, they've watched a ton of tape on Sam Darnold already, playing him twice. They'll have something for him. They're going to get pressure on the quarterback even without, Nick Bosa. But I don't know if there's been rumors that Fred Warner's coming back for this game. I don't know if that's actually.
Yep.
I don't know if he's going to be good to go, but there's been sprinklings, like I've seen it on my timeline, that he could be good to go this game. We'll see. But regardless, I do think Kyle Shanahan wins the coaching battle here, and I just trust Shanahan to at least get that Niners team in the NFC Championship game, even though they're banged up. And I think it's more to do with the Niners than it will be to do with Sam Darnold's struggles. I do think this game will probably end up being low scoring, but I hate saying this because a couple of years ago I was the biggest Brock Purdy hater in the world, but I think Brock Purdy's going to get it done, and he's going to be the reason the Niners win.
I'll actually counter the Brock Purdy angle of this. I thought he looked awful against Philadelphia.
Oh, he did, and they won
granted,
still. He's not going to play that same again.
I think it was my thought is that it was because of the anemic offense of the Philadelphia Eagles in the second half is the reason why they won. But yeah, and then again, there was like 20-mile-an-hour winds in his face for half of the second half. So it's give or take. He's definitely got to play better to get a win in Seattle. I'm terrified by looking at this next game because of how we picked it. The Houston Texans are red hot, and they're heading into New England, who did not look great against the LA Chargers, and we are all on New England. I mean, are we sleeping on Houston? I mean, this is arguably the best defense in the NFL. They single-handedly won the game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. My angle here is I think New England has just the better offense. I mean, we'll see how their defense shows up. They did against the Chargers, but I mean, the Chargers are dealing with a lot of offensive line issues. So it's hard to say for sure. I just think C.J. Stroud's played so bad against Pittsburgh. He would have to either double or triple his production in this game to have a chance against the New England team. And I just don't see that happening, especially just with that Texans offensive line that kind of is struggling in the same sense that the LA Chargers offensive line is. And we saw how the Patriots were hitting Justin Herbert. I don't know if CJ Stroud's going to be able to withhold that pressure and even stay and play full, the 4 quarters. I would not be shocked if we see Davis Mills in the second half, just basically due to injury. And that's why I'm going to get the nod to the Pats. What do you think about this game, Luke?
Yeah, same thing. That offensive line for the Texans was terrible last week. And Stroud, if you look at a bunch of the big games they played in this year, he has played awful, like god awful. And defense obviously is going to carry them, but I do think this Pats offense is better than the Chargers offense in its current state. And I think they're going to be able to score just a little more, Steeler offense than its current state. And I think they're just going to be able to score a little bit more and be able to win this game.
Chase, why do you like the Pats?
I think this game probably pans out kind of the same way that the Steelers game did, where it's going to be very low scoring. But I think, honestly, the Pats defense impressed me a lot last week. Yes, we can say the O-line troubles for the Chargers struggled, but they were getting great push up front. And this Texans O-line is arguably equal to that Pats. I mean, not Pats. That Texans O-line is almost equal to the Chargers O-line. Obviously not as banged up, but the Texans O-line isn't good either by any stretch. And you also have to factor in the fact that Nico Collins is going to miss this game due to concussion. I mean, CJ's got nobody to throw the ball to. They had the 2 first-round picks, Noel and Higgins, but outside of that, he's got nobody to throw the ball to. And the Pats will probably key in on that and stop the run. I just don't see a way where this Texans offense puts up a ton of points. And I think Drake May, had his welcome to the playoffs moment last week. He's heating up. He has had a phenomenal season, and this Patriots team is honestly too good with Mike Vrabel. There's no way that they, I mean, especially with the way the Texans played last week, 30-6 is very misleading because that game was 7 to
It's
6
so
in the third
misleading.
quarter. So, I mean, this is a team that, with geriatric Aaron Rodgers, who I still love Aaron Rodgers, and that's the greatest thrower of the football of all time. But, I mean, we got to call it what it is. And, like, that Steelers offense was terrible. Defense is not as good as the Patriots defense. I think this Patriots team is a lot better than the Texans. Even with that Super Bowl caliber defense, I just don't think the Texans offense is good enough to beat the Pats.
I agree on that end. We're split 50-50 on this next game. Chasing the producer on the Rams, me and Luke are on the Bears. I'll start us off again. I do think this Bears team is a team of destiny. Again, I could totally see me live betting the Bears when they're down 20 in this game. But here's the thing. This is a Rams team that we saw their defense struggle mightily against a Carolina Panthers team that does not have that many weapons on the outside. Really, they just have Ted McMillan. I think the Bears just may be stronger. It's about who's playing their best ball right now, and I don't think the Rams are playing their best ball. I do think the Bears are probably playing about as good as they possibly could right now. Were they doing that in the first half against the Packers? No, but they ended up doing it, and that's all that matters. It's a 4-quarter game. I lost faith in the Rams with that Carolina game. You're having to go back out on the road. Chicago's hosting twice in a row. You've been able to stay at home, no travel. I just think it's kind of lining up for the Bears to be able to make an NFC Championship run and eventually have to play Seattle. Luke, why do you like the Bears?
I think weather's going to play a
I
huge
agree.
factor into this. The Rams have only played in like outdoor games like a handful of times. Most of their games have been in a dome. And obviously they play in a dome, but most of the teams they have played have been in a dome. It's supposed to be 0-degree wind chill apparently
Ooh.
at this game, and I think Chicago's going to like kind of fill into that. I think like Stafford will obviously be able to deal with it, but some of these other guys that haven't been playing in the North are not going to deal with it as well. And this is kind of also a heart pick. I love the Bears. I love Ben Johnson. I hope they win. It'd be awesome. But I could also very well see Stafford having another MVP type game and winning this football game.
100%. Chase, why did the Rams take it home?
Well, I hear y'all on everything you're saying. Like, I do think the Rams definitely play worse when they're not in a dome, just because of the nature. I mean, Stafford is a dome quarterback, but at the same time, I think the Bears are a year early. It's kind of going to be my same reason why I don't pick, like, say the Patriots do beat the Texans this week. It's going to be the reason I don't pick the Patriots to go to the Super Bowl. It's just they're a year early. And I mean, we've seen Caleb Williams' deficiencies, and he's going to grow out of them. He's going to be a great NFL quarterback, but I think he is going to throw a couple picks. And I think Matthew Stafford had the worst game of his playoff run last week. I think he's going to heat up. They're getting Devontae Adams back healthy. Like, you can still tell there was a little bit of residual from his previous injury. He's going to be coming back to health. Puka has been awesome. That offense is going to put up points regardless of what the Bears defense does. And if Caleb Williams puts the Bears in a bad situation early on, which we've seen him do a couple times this season, I think the Rams could run away with it early. I think this game could be high scoring and probably will be the best game out of all 4 games on the slate. But I trust Matthew Stafford, who I do think will be the MVP. I think he's going to get it done, but we'll have to see.
Fair enough. Moving on, college basketball this week. We've had some very telling games. We'll start it off. The Houston Cougars at one point were up 20-5, 13 minutes into this game. They let West Virginia come back a little bit, but then it just Kelvin Sampson ball took over, 77-48 for the Cougars at home against West Virginia. My big takeaway from this is that this Houston team is starting to, fire on all cylinders. Miles Uzan with 17 points. Emmanuel Sharp added 13. I think this is a Houston team that is starting to get poised again for a deep run in March. Luke, what'd you take away from the Cougs?
It's just, I think, honestly, they're the most underrated teams out of like that top echelon of teams, because you don't hear a lot of stuff about. You hear about the Michigan, you hear about the Arizona,
the
Iowa State, the UConn. You don't really hear about Houston. And obviously I'm not like the biggest Houston fan like Will is, but Houston wins basketball games, and they do that. Now, will they do it all the way in March? We'll see. But this is a great sign that you were gonna go have a West Virginia team who just beat Kansas. That's a huge win for them, and absolutely shut them down. That's a great sign.
Chase, what did you think of the Cougs?
I mean, this West Virginia team is not bad by any stretch of the imagination.
No, they're not.
I think we had one of us had them as our one of our teams that we were most surprised with,
Yeah.
happy with how they had played last episode. And this is a good West Virginia team. But I mean, Houston is really freaking good. And they always do this. You know, they'll lose a game, you know, early on in, you know, December or in, you know, November that'll move them back in the rankings. But right when they hit conference, it's just like a switch with Kelvin Sampson teams. And I mean, they are really playing some good basketball right now. I mean, they have three guys that can score in the clutch, which, you know, I love. And then every single Kelvin Sampson team is going to play elite defense. So, I mean, I think Houston's gearing up for a big March Madness run, and like wins like this. I mean, just dominations of good basketball teams show us why.
Our next game was highly disappointing for me. The team that I said, so we're back to back on our surprising teams here, just getting absolutely railroaded. Alabama was down to 9 scholarship players, maybe 8, on the road at Mississippi State. Mississippi State had a good crowd. The Dogs, and this is back to back games, and this is starting to become a concern for me. The Dogs get out to a really good start. They were up 16 on Alabama. Bama ended up coming storming back in the first half, up by 2 at the half, and then absolutely ran away with it. Dropped 61 points in the second half. I watched the back half of the second half. I mean, partially because the damn Texas A&M Tennessee game wouldn't end. I missed the entire first half of the SEC network. State doesn't know how to play his own defense. I mean, the pick and roll absolutely befuddles them. It's unbelievable. They just chuck shots. No one but freaking Josh Hubbard can score. They're weak on the inbound or the interior with rebounding. I'm just, and granted, they did score 82 points, but this is a very weak Alabama team in terms of defense. You gave up 97. You could not figure out the pick and roll. Wide open threes left and right. I was very disappointed with the Bulldogs. I actually in the group text said, I take back everything I said. They freaking suck. I'm not going to go that far on a fresh, rested mind to say that they suck. I don't think this is a bad Mississippi State team. I think this is a Mississippi State team that has to abandon the zone. I think the zone has really become an issue for the Bulldogs. They just don't know how to handle it. I mean, you got to be able to trust man to man. Luke, your takeaway from this game. Oh, and also this proves Bama depth is unbelievable. I mean, they were able to do this shorthanded and just score at a prolific rate, nailing threes. And once they got in rhythm with their threes, it was ball game from there on out.
Oh yeah, Phylon, the guard for Bama,
Unbelievable,
absolute dog. That is what I'm kind of taking away. He is not like he was supposed to be their number one guy this year. He's been wishy-washy. There's been games where he's played good, games where he's played bad. 31 points on 71% shooting. That is absurd. I mean, that is my biggest takeaway, that he is finally showing, I'm the dude. I'm going to take this Bama team to what they think is great heights. So that's my takeaway.
Chase.
I agree. I was really kind of curious to see what Phylon was going to do this season, obviously taking the reins over from Sears. But, I mean, obviously he's been a little bit disappointing considering, you know, Alabama's start. But, I mean, 71% shooting with 31 points. I mean, that's going to give you confidence for the next couple weeks. That a showing like that, you have no idea what that does for a player. I mean, he was in rhythm, and this like Will said, the state team is not bad at all. So I was definitely impressed with Alabama. Was a little concerned they were down 16, but they turned it on, and you know, I think this Bama team is going to start trending in the right direction after a couple of rough weeks.
Talk about a rough night. Let's talk about Iowa State headed into Kansas and absolutely got drilled. 44-23 at the half. Ended up tying them in the second half, 84-63. The final as the Kansas Jayhawks get a huge win against the number 2 team in the country and give them their first loss. I mean, what stood out to me, I think this was not a sound the alarm game for Iowa State. Kansas played absolutely out of their mind. Shot 51% from the field, 12 from 24, 50% from 3. Was, I mean, unbelievable all throughout the game. I mean, it just it just wasn't. Sometimes it's not your night, and it just wasn't Iowa State's night. Only able to get 37% on field goal percentage, which is absolutely atrocious. 9 from 27 from 3 at 33%. Not able to get to the free throw line. I mean, absolute just demon game from Trey White for Kansas. I just, again, not sounding the alarm for Iowa State, but a damn good game for Kansas, and really a good look for Bill Self to get his team back on the right track. Luke, what'd you think?
Yeah, this has to be a throwaway game for Iowa State. I mean,
yeah, don't even look at the film.
Yeah, no, you lost the game. You were 16-0. You're technically bound to lose a game. But another thing I saw, I did not watch this, but I was scrolling Twitter this morning. Apparently, they did not play very like Iowa State said gritty, dives on the floor for every ball. They did not show that. So I don't know if they just had a bad drive or flight or whatever they did, but that needs to get fixed before their next game because the Big 12, as we've said before, is a gauntlet. So I don't think you're sounding the alarm, but they need to step up this next game.
Chase, what did you think about this game?
I agree. I don't think it's a sound the alarm game, considering you were 16-0 heading into this game. I think this more speaks about Kansas than it does Iowa State. Darren Peterson has carried this team for the good part of the first half of the season, but now it looked like, from what I saw from that game, because watching it, it looked like they had some depth. Guys off the bench actually scoring for Kansas, and then other guys stepping up other than Peterson. I think Peterson only had 4 points at halftime, and they were up big. So, I mean, that just speaks volumes for even when your guy doesn't have his best game. I think he was 6 for 15 or something like that. So, considering that, I mean, if I'm Bill Self, I'm like, you know what? We can calm down a little bit. Everybody's freaking out saying that Kansas can't compete in the NIL era. I've got a little something for them. So I think Kansas will get on a little roll here and get back into that top 25. But like you guys said, I mean, it's tough to play away, especially at Kansas. Iowa State is a good basketball team. Throw the film away, get to Saturday and play a good game Saturday, and they'll be just fine.
100%. Another big conference, the Big East, had an absolute thriller. UConn and Seton Hall went down to the wire. Now, this may have been the worst three-point shooting game I've ever seen. UConn was 3 for 17 from three, but Seton Hall was a whole 1 for 16, shot 6% from the three. And they shot 10% worse from the field, yet only lost by 5. And, I mean, if it wasn't for Terrace Reed Jr., UConn would not have won this game. Seton Hall has proven to be, at least at home, a very tough team to beat. Outscored UConn by 8 in the second half after being down 13 at the half. My takeaway from this game is this Seton Hall team is not to be messed with in the Big East. Very resilient, a team that's able to battle back and make games interesting, and made UConn sweat this one out a little bit. Luke, what'd you think?
Yeah, no, the resiliency is a big thing. They were down like 20, I think, with 10 minutes or something left in this game.
Yeah.
And they came back and cut it to 2 with 2 minutes left in this game. And obviously, shooting, you're not going to go 1 for 16 every single night. I mean, unless you just suck. But I don't think Seton Hall sucks. And this is a good sign that you're with the number 3 team in the country. And a lot of people's favorite to win the national championship, you hung right there with them. So that's a great sign for Seton Hall moving forward. And they're going to give them a run again in the Big East. So
100%. Chase, what did you take away from this Big East matchup?
Just terrible 3-point shooting, honestly. More impressive on UConn. They're finding ways to continuously win games, even when you don't shoot the ball well. I really like this UConn team. I really like solo ball as well. But obviously we'll see down the stretch how it goes. And I do think Seton Hall, other than St. John's, Seton Hall's the other team I think that could press UConn in the Big East.
Just want to touch on this Nebraska team for a second. This game was close for about like 10 minutes, and then Nebraska absolutely unleashed a can of whoop ass, 190-55 against Oregon. Now, I pointed out earlier in the season after watching Oregon play Hawaii, I did not think this Oregon team was good at all. They absolutely proved that, but we also proved that Nebraska, again, scores at a prolific rate. I mean, this team's dropped 90 on a in-conference opponent and held them to 55. So just shout out Nebraska there. Michigan State got a big home win against Indiana, 81-60. This is an Indiana team that's starting to falter a little bit as we get into conference play, 3-3 in the Big Ten. But Michigan State really needed this home win by double digits in terms of their confidence going forward. And a quality opponent in Indiana for Michigan State to get a 21-point win over. I do want to touch.
No, I want to say one.
No,
thing.
Go ahead. Yeah.
This game was 60-59 Indiana with 10 minutes left to go. Or like it was like 55-50 or something with 10 minutes left to go. They scored like 5 points in the last 10 minutes.
Oh, inability to close out. That's a red alarm.
They went on a huge run. It was super close in the last 10 minutes, and Indiana just did not score. So, I mean, that might be a little bit of an issue.
100%. I do want to touch on this next game. This was a huge road win for Virginia on the road against Louisville. Handed Louisville their third ACC loss, 79-70 for the Hoos. My point here is, one, Virginia may be back and they can score, which has been not a characteristic of Virginia teams in the past 5 years at least. But Louisville, 2-3 in the ACC. We have gotten to conference play now, and these Cardinals have started to falter. Luke, what do you think about the Cardinals?
So Pat Kelsey, in his 2 years there, is 2-5 against ranked teams at home. That's kind of sounding the alarm, especially because Louisville, I mean, it's a tough environment. I won't say it's like the the Kansases of the world, but it's a tough environment. I mean, it's not easy to go play there, and you let Virginia go in there, which I thought they were kind of on par. Virginia hadn't really played anybody, and they've got a loss to like Butler. And I was like, Blue was probably gonna win this game, and Virginia showed up, man. It was very impressive for them.
100%. Chase, what did you take away from this ACC matchup?
I think this speaks more about Louisville than Virginia. I really like Virginia, as we talked about. They're my most surprising team in the ACC, just because, it's the first year head coach. I didn't think they were going to be this good post Tony Bennett, but this is a really good Virginia team. I'm a little bit more concerned about Louisville, because Louisville earlier in the season looked like they were going to be maybe a 2 or 3 seed heading into March Madness that could potentially challenge for a national championship. And I'm not seeing it as much anymore, especially starting off ACC play 2 and 3. I like Pat Kelsey a lot, but they got to turn it around quick, because you lose a couple games in conference, then you start sliding, and then you're borderline even a tournament team, which I think this Louisville team is very good and is deservedly of a spot, but they're going to have to get rolling here soon.
100%. Wanted to highlight Florida. They have gotten rolling again. 96-79 win over Oklahoma on the road. And this is not the same Oklahoma team we saw last year, even close. Clemson, big win against Boston College. Again, this is a terrible Boston College team, but they covered, and so I felt like that was necessary to highlight. I'm going to touch on Miami, Ohio first. 18-0, unbelievable run, 161 win against Central Michigan. Again, Central Michigan 5-13 is a pretty poor opponent, but the fact that we put 100 points up in a conference game is absolutely unbelievable. It is absurd. Shout out to the Redhawks. Texas A&M, Tennessee. The last 20 seconds of this game could have been the most abysmal officiating I have ever seen in my entire life. We got phantom foul calls. We have an out of bounds call that should have been A&M ball with 11 seconds left. It was very clear. The commentator said it was very clear, and they reviewed it, and they still gave it to Tennessee. And of course, Tennessee wins a double overtime. The SEC officials tried to do everything in their power to keep Tennessee relevant in this conversation and force a win here for the Vols. Now, granted, it was relatively decent officiating in the 2 overtimes compared to at least the last minute of that game. And A&M just was not able to capitalize on opportunities they were given. But, I mean, this was just atrocious. It was so bad. A&M, I believe, deserved to win this game in regulation. Luke, I know you feel personal about this one. How did you take away from this A&M? Oh, and I do want to add, Buckyball works in Aggie land. This is a better A&M team than I expected to see. What'd you take away from this game?
Man, their offense was great in regulation, and then overtime hit, and it looked like they forgot how to shoot a basketball. I mean, they had multiple wide open threes that they just missed. Both teams kind of did. And, I'm also going to say this. Nate Ament is solid. The announcer glaze last night.
Oh, my God, the glaze was unreal.
It was like he's a top 5 pick, which he's projected. And I'm like, I don't see it. Just because the dude's 6'10 and 18 years old and kind of can dribble and stuff, I don't really see it. I mean, obviously he's going to score when he's got a guy who's got 4 fouls on you and who cannot pick up a 5th foul, or else they're screwed because he's their only rebounder. I think Tennessee is in deep trouble. I don't think they're very good. A&M, completely shocked after Buzz left that they would be even remotely this good. So,
Jace.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement on Tennessee. I think that they're in a lot of trouble. Rick Barnes, this is one of the worst Rick Barnes Tennessee teams that I think I've seen. I really like Nate Ament, to be fair. And I agree with you too, Will. Like I said, Texas A, I hate saying this because I'm a Texas A&M hater, but they were the most surprising team for me in the SEC, just because I was not expecting Buckyball to translate from Samford all the way to Texas A&M. I just didn't think that style of play would work in the SEC, but it does. I mean, high-paced, high defense, get as many possessions as you can a game. I guess it works. And, they got robbed in this game, honestly. I mean, there was it just seemed like the refs had money on Tennessee or something, because
it did. And this is an official that was suspended in the NCAA tournament. It was atrocious.
But I don't mind it because it happened to Texas A&M, so I really don't mind it. But
see, that's how we feel about Tennessee. So that's how that's how we feel about Tennessee. So that's how powerful.
So we don't like either one of these teams. We'd like both of these teams to, suck. But
absolutely,
obviously, I thought A&M got robbed in this game, but I do think Tennessee is in big, big, big trouble.
Yeah, huge question marks for Tennessee, and we'll talk about that in our college basketball picks of the week. I love that we're split on this game. It's tonight at 8 o'clock. North Carolina heads over to Palo Alto in California to play the Stanford Trees or the Cardinal. I'm rolling with Stanford here. They've got a dude in that freshman. And this is, again, we talk about this with football, but I mean, I think this is really understated in basketball. It's way more overstated in football. This is a tough travel for North Carolina. This is an 8 p.m. Central Time tip, 9 p.m. Eastern. They're not really used to playing that late. Stanford's got a dude. He's going to drop 30. And this is a North Carolina team that I'm big on, but I'm not like sold yet. So I'm going to go with the Stanford Cardinal to get a really signature win here. Maybe start flirting with the AP Top 25. Luke, you agree?
Yeah, no, they got a dude, like I said on the last episode, but I'm actually not very high on Carolina. I think they're obviously talent-wise solid. Their biggest thing that holds them back is Hubert Davis. And Hubert Davis has lost them multiple games in the past. I obviously haven't watched him as much this year. He lost him that Michigan State game. He got completely outcoached by Izzo. But I think Stanford, excuse me, this is their time. You're at home. You're in front of probably what's going to be a pretty good crowd. And I think they're going to get it done against Carolina.
Chase, you're going with the Heels, though.
The only reason I'm going with the Heels is because they have the overall best player in this game with Caleb Wilson. I love Caleb Wilson, and he's a guy that a lot of people weren't talking about him as much before the season started. But since the season started, he's obviously risen on a lot of people's draft boards to that, top 5, top 3 pick consensus. I love this kid. Seth Trimble and Visar are really good too for North Carolina, but I agree with the take too, Luke, that Hubert Davis has been costing North Carolina for numerous years, not just this season. It's been there for a while, so I'm never going to be sold on a Hubert Davis team, but at the same time, I do think North Carolina, even with the travel, will still get it done against Stanford.
I'm 100%. I respect the take. I kind of flip flopped on this game, but by the way, the producer took North Carolina. I'm excited for this next game. It's huge in terms of Sun Belt contention. Arkansas State heads to Mobile, Alabama, and plays South. Chase is the only one on South. The rest of us are on Arkansas State, and I've got 2 words for you. Chandler Jackson, a Christian Brothers High School alum here in Memphis, Tennessee, went to school with him. He's actually, he's found his fit here at Arkansas State. He's playing lights out. And this is a South Alabama team that looked really good in the non-conference, but it's kind of struggled as of late as we got into the Sun Belt. And I think this is an Arkansas State team that, here's the thing. I do think they lose the Troy game. So I do think they're going to split their Alabama trip. I do think they get the win against South Alabama. Luke, why do you like Ark State?
Because as a sort of Troy fan by association, I thought we were supposed to hate South Alabama.
Oh, we do. We do.
So
suck South.
Yeah. That is why I'm not picking South Alabama. And Chandler Jackson's obviously a great player. He's found his fit, like you said, at Arkansas State. Great. So that's who we're relying on for Arkansas State.
100%. Chase, you're going with the Jags here.
Okay. So I'm going to just say this. It is super hard to travel in the Sun Belt among the elite teams. So over the past couple years, obviously watching my uncle and watching other teams in the conference, every time you have to go play for other teams recently with Troy and South Alabama both being at the top of the conference, it's really hard to pick up 2 wins just because of the travel. Everybody buses. It is a long bus ride. It is really tough to do. And then you know how small Troy is, and then South. You're just not staying in ideal conditions either. It's a long bus trip. It's 9 hours from Arkansas State to Mobile there. So it's a tough travel. And then on top of that, South Alabama's zone defense has been absolutely elite this season, slowing down every single offense that they played against. And I think Ark State won't be able to handle that zone defense. And I think it will be a low scoring game, but I'm thinking maybe 60-55. And I think South gets it done at home. And they always get the calls, it seems, South Alabama. So I'm going to go with South in this game.
Up next, we got a huge MAC game. Really kind of vying for the second spot in the MAC right now. Obviously, the first spot goes to Miami, Ohio. Toledo on the road against Kent State now, and Miami, Ohio is not having the out of mind year they're having. This is like for the MAC regular season championship between these 2 teams. I like Toledo in this game, even though they're on the road. They looked really good last time out against Ohio, winning 101-85. I mean, again, they lost by 14 to Miami, Ohio, but my red alarm really comes from Kent State. When you lost by 2 at Central Michigan, who only has 5 wins on the year, I'm starting to lose a little bit of faith in you. Now, granted, Toledo doesn't play great defense, and I think this is a very high scoring affair, but I think this is, a 1-2 basket win for the Rockets on the road. Luke, you like the Rockets as well?
Yeah, you stole my reasoning. When you lose to Central Michigan, I just don't trust you. And honestly, anything Kent State athletics wise, I mean, I did have them winning like 5 games or 4 games, which was right. But anything Kent State athletics, I don't trust at all. So give me Toledo.
Chase, you like the Rockets?
I'm just gonna go. I picked this game specifically off of what they did versus my uncle's team. So Troy went up to Kent State in the opener, beat them on the road. Toledo played them down in the Coconut Hoops Classic and beat them by 7. Toledo, I think, is playing better as of late, obviously. And then Kent State, when you lose to Central Michigan, and then, Central Michigan loses 100-61 or whatever it was to Miami, Ohio. Granted, Miami, Ohio's on a tear, but I mean, I'm not as sold on this Kent State team. I think Toledo gets it done and they get it done big.
Yeah. Oh, ooh, a big call. All right. Next game is a huge rivalry game. Kentucky on the road against Tennessee on Saturday. Both these teams are really faltering as of late. Here, I went with, we're split 50-50. Luke and the producer on Tennessee, me and Chase on Kentucky. I'll go first, and then Chase, you can follow. I think Kentucky gets a huge road win against LSU tonight. I think this LSU team has also been faltering as they've gone into conference play, and I think that's going to get the confidence a little bit up for the Kentucky Wildcats as they continue the road trip on the road against Tennessee. Dude, I just think this Tennessee team sucks. I'm also a believer in Mark Pope. I think Mark Pope's a good coach. I think he's going to get his team up for this game. And I just think Tennessee's lack of ability to, one, play defense in transition, and then two, Kentucky, I think, will catch fire from beyond the arc to be able to get a win here on the road against the Vols. Chase, why do you like the Wildcats?
Same reasoning, Mark Pope. I think Mark Pope is a fantastic head coach, and we do have to remember that this is the most expensive roster in college basketball at Kentucky. Yes, they have not played well, but at some point they're going to have to turn it around. There's too many talented guys on that team for them to not play, at the levels that they can reach. And I think Pope's going to figure it out. Obviously, they're going to get a huge boost beating LSU tonight, and I think that's a pretty easy take to say, but I have really not been impressed with Rick Barnes' Tennessee team. They're faltering as of late and really should have lost to Texas A&M. And I think, I don't think that there's a ton of confidence in any of the players outside of Nate Mint. So I'm going with Kentucky, and it's just because I love Mark Pope. So
Luke, I can't believe it, but you took the Vols.
Yeah. I'm going to quote Nick Saban here. You can dish out $20 million, but if you pay the wrong people, you're shit out of luck. I think Kentucky has not paid the greatest people. Like Quintons. I don't know why. I watched him at Arizona State. Don't really know why he's a top 10 draft pick. If I'm being honest, I really don't. He's just an athletic big. That's it. He really can't shoot the ball very well. He rebounds, whatever. But I think both these teams suck. I think Kentucky just sucks a little bit more. And you're at home. Tennessee's going to have the crowd advantage, which it's going to be rocking for this game. So give me the Vols.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have the officiating too. Next to our game, and I can't believe I couldn't get one of y'all to bite on Elon here. We're all on Hofstra. This is a huge game in the Colonial Athletic Association. Elon 11-6, 3-1 in the conference. Hofstra 13-4, 4-0. They both have dudes. For Elon, Chandler Cuthrell averages 21 points per game with 6 rebounds. And then for Hofstra, Cruz Davis averages 21 as well with 4.9 assists. I think this is going to be a really fun basketball game to watch on the CBS Sports Network. Now, granted, Elon scores a lot, but gives up a lot of points. Hofstra scores a decent amount, averaging around mid-70s, but plays way better defense. You're at home. I think Hofstra's defense is going to make Elon a little bit uncomfortable here, so I got the Pride taking a huge CAA home win. Luke, you like the Pride as well?
Yeah, mostly in a lot of these mid-major conferences, you don't see people go on unless it's like your first team versus your last.
Man, you stole my take.
1 through 4. Yeah, you don't see a lot of these teams win on the road, and I think they'll split this series, and Hofstra won at home, and Elon won on the road or at home in their case. So that is why I'm going with Hofstra.
Well, then Chase, you can tell us why you like Hofstra real quick.
Well, I mean, it's the same reason. All these mid-major games, they're so close roster-wise, like in terms of talent, that it's really just who's at home, and I mean, not always. Obviously, you're going to have teams that are objectively better, in like Miami, Ohio's case, that can go in on the road and win. But it is really hard to win road games in conference just because everybody is so similar. They all have the same amount of resources. But Hofstra being at home and 4-0 in conference, I don't think that Elon is going to go in and upset them. But like Luke said, when they have to play the return game in a couple weeks, Elon could probably get it done at home. But I definitely think, especially in mid-major basketball's case, it is super, super hard to win on the road. So I'm going with the Pride.
Fair enough. Our next game, I think, is a huge game in the SEC. We have a very hot Florida team against a even hotter Vanderbilt team on the road for Florida at Nashville in Vanderbilt. Everybody's on Vanderbilt except Chase. Chase went with Florida. Chase, I'll let you play devil's advocate first. Why did the Gators get it done?
Well, this Florida team is a national championship contender. Did not play like it earlier in the season, but this is, I mean, when with the transfers they got with Boogie Flan and Xavier Lee, I mean, you look at this team, I mean, with Condon returning, you're like, oh, they're gonna go back to back. I mean, I was shocked with what they got in the portal. They obviously did not gel at the beginning of the season, but they're playing some really good basketball as of late. And it's not, it says more about Florida than it does Vanderbilt. I think it's just Vanderbilt's time to lose. Vanderbilt has had a phenomenal start to the season, but realistically, you're in the SEC, you can't go undefeated. I think this is just the first game Vandy loses, and they'll continue to win because there's a really good Vanderbilt basketball team. But I think Florida is a team that finally beats Vandy.
Um, I like Vandy here. Tyler Tanner has played absolutely unbelievable for the Commodores. They're sitting at 16-0, 3-0 in the SEC. Yes. Are they due to lose? Do I think they do it at home? No, I do not. I think this Nashville community is starting to rally around Vanderbilt sports as a whole, not a lot, just their basketball team. Again, yes, Florida's starting to look better, but let's look at who they played. I mean, yes, I think Georgia was a big win for them, but it was at home. And the game was relatively close for a long time. We think this Tennessee team sucks, and they, blew them out. And then we also think this Oklahoma team sucks. So, you go back to the Missouri game on the road. Last time they played a halfway decent team on the road, they lost by 2. Vanderbilt's been at home for back-to-back games, and I think they continue their home stretch with it here. And I just think Vanderbilt's going to play slightly better defense than Florida is. Vanderbilt can score at a prolific rate, and so can Florida, but I think Vanderbilt plays a little bit better defense, able to get them a home nod here for the Commodores. Why do you like Vandy?
Yeah, I think you're not losing your first game at home. I think they actually lose next week against Arkansas at Arkansas because Arkansas is a very tough place to play. But besides that, I love Vandy. Vandy's one of the hottest teams in the country, and I just kind of think they keep it going because people, like you said, have been showing up to Vandy games. The crowd is way different. It's night and day from a Stackhouse's Vandy teams. It's awesome, and I think they continue to go. I think Tyler Tanner plays a big role in this game.
Our final game is a great mid-major matchup between the St. Thomas, Minnesota Tommies and the North Dakota State University Bison in North Dakota State. We're all North Dakota State against Luke, except Luke, who is on the Tommies. I again, kind of pointing back at that mid-major thing, I think the home team's going to get it done. Granted, I'll give credit where credit's due for St. Thomas. They have a dude in Nolan Minnesota. But, I think Damari Wheeler-Thomas is going to play well enough and anchor this North Dakota State offense. They're kind of relatively similar in terms of stats. North Dakota State averages about, 0.8 points less a game, but they give up, 1.5 points less a game. So, relatively a similar team. I'm going to give the home court advantage nod to North Dakota State. Chase, you agree?
I agree with everything you said. These are extremely equal teams. Like I said, for my Elon Hofstra pick, very similar rosters, very similar talent levels. It's going to be the home team that, ends up winning here. So that's why I'm going with the Bison.
Luke, you like the Tommies?
Yeah, no, they're my team that was it my mid-major team?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, my mid-major team. And so I'm going to kind of stick with them. They've got a dude, which North Dakota State, and a big thing too with a bunch of these mid-major schools is if you don't have a guy who's averaging around 20, like 18, 19, 20, you're not going far in anything. And St. Thomas has that guy. They're very efficient offensively. They've been shooting the three a lot better as of late, and I think they get the upset at North Dakota State.
Mid-major games to watch, a little segment we're going to start doing here as we get deeper into college basketball season. I'm going to kick us off with probably the biggest game in the Sun Belt regular season. the entire season. Arkansas State heads to Troy for the second half of their season series. Troy was not able to get the victory on the road in Jonesboro, Arkansas. So this game is really a determinant for the Trojans in terms of their regular season championship hopes. I think this is going to be a big game in terms of Victor Valdez and Thomas Dowd. I think they're going to be able to take over and withhold both offensively and defensively against Chandler Jackson, those Arkansas State Red Wolves. I do predict Troy to get a win, but I think it's a very, if you're like, you're into basketball and you want to look for sleepers in March, you need to watch this game because I believe the winner of this game will end up winning the Sun Belt regular season title. Luke, going to the Missouri Valley Conference.
Yep, and you got to love the Missouri Valley Conference. It's one of the best conferences in mid-major basketball. And I got Bradley versus Illinois State, both top of the conference. Bradley's 6-2, Illinois State's 4-2. And Bradley, when Drake, basically for the last 5 or 6 years, has literally been really good, but they've been held back because of Drake. I think head coach is gone. You're finally going to get a Bradley team in the tournament. And they got a guy in Jaquan Johnson who's averaging 18, 4, and 4. I mean, I think Bradley's going to go into Illinois State and steal this one.
That's a huge game. And you're staying in the Missouri Valley Conference with my mid-major team to watch for, Chase. Talk to me about Murray State and Indiana State.
Well, Murray State has, been phenomenal in the Missouri Valley Conference, sitting at 15-3. They've dominated that conference. But I highlighted this game because Indiana State, even though they are 8-9 and sitting 10th in the conference, they have lost like their last 3 games by, I think, a collective 10 points total. They're playing good basketball, not getting wins, but I do think they keep this game close. And if you want to look for another sleeper team, this Murray State team is really freaking good. So this would be a good game to watch to, check them out for a future March Madness run.
The NHL on Monday and Tuesday, we had a lot to talk about. The Canadiens were tied up heading into the third period against a very bad Vancouver Canucks team, and that talent in Montreal was able to take over for a 6-3 win. The Edmonton Oilers started their dad's road trip where the fathers travel along with the team. First of 5 games this week for the Oilers. They got a big 4-1 win against, again, a Bedardless Chicago Blackhawks, but nonetheless a good win on the road for the Oilers. The Panthers were able to escape Buffalo, a red-hot Buffalo Sabres team, 4-3. The Red Wings able to get a win at home in overtime against the Hurricanes, 4-3. The Kraken continued to expose the New York Rangers' woes, 4-2 win for the Seattle Kraken on the road. Lightning get a 5-1 win against the Flyers. And then this is really my surprising game of the night. The New Jersey Devils, who have looked absolutely atrocious, they literally have a losing record on the road, and this is a red-hot Wild team. They go out and score 3 goals in the third period to absolutely stifle this Minnesota Wild team at home, getting a 5-2 road win for the Devils. And then again, the Maple Leafs, who have been atrocious on the road as well, get an overtime win against the best team in the NHL so far, the Colorado Avalanche, 4-3. 2 big wins for 2 Eastern Conference teams over Western Conference teams that they really needed to try to get their seasons turned around. And then the Dallas Stars, to cap off Monday night, get a 3-1 win over the LA Kings. Heading on to Tuesday, the Canadiens, it's tough to go back-to-back and then on the road nonetheless after hosting. The Washington Capitals were able to take advantage of this in overtime, 3-2. And then the Diddy Bowl. The Oilers at the Predators, second game, back-to-back, road trip. This game was absolutely electric. Tristan Jarry tried to play a puck way out of his crease. It completely backfired on him, and Roman Josi sniped it into the net for a 4-3 win for the Nashville Predators. And again, this is a Nashville team me and Chase told y'all to look out for, and this is a team that has now found themselves tied for that second spot for the wild card. The Canucks woes continue at the Senators 2-1 for the Sens. This Lightning Penguins game was very electric for being a 2-1 hockey game. They were rifling shots. Andrei Vasilevsky played out of his brain in overtime. 2-1 win for the Lightning in a shootout. RIP Johnny Gaudreau, the Gaudreau Bowl, Flames at the Blue Jackets. Blue Jackets get a home win 5-3. The Bruins get a 3-0 win over the Red Wings, and they continue to look good. Boston, a team I was not very big on at the beginning of the season, starting to really piece it together as it goes on. The Blues get back on the right side of things, catching Carolina on a back-to-back, winning 3-0 at home. And man, the Jets finally, they desperately needed a win, and they got it done against the New York Islanders 5-4 in a thriller. The Utah Mammoth then absolutely again just put Toronto back in their place when they're on the road. 6-1 home win for the Utah Mammoth. And then shocker, the Dallas Stars fall to the Anaheim Ducks 3-1, with the Ducks getting a big home win. Chase, looking at all these scores, what stood out to you?
Really, just the fact that no team won a back to back, in the last 2 days, which, back to backs are always a killer. But if you look at, in the Oilers case or the Stars or, the Maple Leafs, they all struggled in that, in the second half of their game. I wouldn't say the Oilers struggled, but even the Canadians too, they all, after getting good wins on Monday night, lost on Tuesday night, which, there's always been beefs about that in the hockey world and the basketball world about playing back to backs. But it's just when you play that many games, that's just the nature of the sport, and you got to show up in that second game. But I just found that very interesting from, last night's game and then games. And then obviously, the big one that stood out was the Maple Leafs beating the Avalanche. I didn't see that coming considering how the Maple Leafs had been over the last couple weeks and how dominant the Avalanche had been. So definitely, definitely shocked with that. And then I watched a little bit of the Predators Oilers game, and that was it was just a really fun contest. Lots of offense, and it's always good to watch fun hockey. And we're about to get to that point where a lot of these games are going to start to become really important in terms of playoff seeding, so Stanley Cup seeding. So very much looking forward to the next couple weeks of hockey.
I am too. These games, and you kind of saw it in that Oilers Predators game. The pace is going to start to pick up as we get closer to the All-Star break, and you're going to start to get a little bit more intense. That was a very fun hockey game to watch. I agree, but it sold my parlay. It was the last leg I needed. The NBA, man. I want to touch on one. The Cavaliers are continuing to show their struggles as they drop a home game against the Utah Jazz, and then the Pacers, dude, out of nowhere, get a win against the Boston Celtics by 2.
Illegal screen.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's all Medulla had to say about the game.
I love it.
Yeah,
I hate Boston, so
yeah, I do too. Sixers take it down. The Sixers take down the Raptors on the road with Kyle Lowry getting the proper send away he needed on Monday against Toronto. Mavericks take care of the Nets. Kings take care of the Lakers, which was also very shocking to me. But again, we pointed out they were going to struggle without Austin Reeves. The Clippers take down the Hornets, and then we travel to Tuesday. This Suns team was down like 30 at one point against the Miami Heat and absolutely came storming back, unable to close it out on the road. But here's the thing: my team, we don't even have Jalen Green back yet. This is going to be a very good team. I mean, they were able to show a little bit of resiliency against a okay Heat team. Rockets got back in the win column in a very abysmal crowd at home against the Bulls. Again, UH was playing, so that may have stolen a majority of the fans that would have been at the Rocket games. However, I want to point out this Timberwolves Bucks game. Now, not the score line, but I don't know if y'all saw Giannis made a big play and booed his crowd as he was on the floor. Literally gave him the thumbs down and said, "Boo me, I boo you." The era of Giannis and John Morant seemed to be coming to an end in their respective franchises. The Nuggets get a very iffy win without Nikola Jokic on the road against a atrocious Pelicans team. The Thunder finally beat the Spurs, man, 119-98. And I think it was funny at the beginning of the year they mocked the Spurs skull chant. And maybe that set the precedent. Lakers back-to-back LeBron. Well, you beat a really atrocious Hawks team, 141-116, and the Warriors take care of the business against the Blazers. Luke, I'm gonna let you go, and then Chase. What are your takeaways from these last 2 nights in the NBA?
Oh, Jamal Murray's on an absolute tear. Without Jokic, I mean, he's averaging like 30-something points. It is insane how well he is playing. And then, again, Thunder finally get rid of their kryptonite. Granted, they're still 1-3 versus them, but that's good signs for the future. I mean, I think SGA blocked Wemby in that game, which is just insane to me that he was able to do that. But it's going to be interesting. I think the deadline's coming up. It's going to be very interesting what's going to happen. So,
Chase, what'd you take away?
I think Giannis is getting traded in the next couple days, if not weeks. He's out of Milwaukee, and obviously, I think the Grizzlies are a little timid to trade Ja just because he's very talented.
I
but
think he's
think
gone.
He's probably gone, and I think Jaren Jackson could potentially go too. Speaking of which, I don't know if y'all saw this, a little off topic of the night's games, but Rich Paul came out and said, Lakers should trade Austin Reeves for Jaren Jackson. Like, obviously, LeBron had to come out in support of his teammate.
I think that'd be great for the Grizzlies.
But
I think it would also
that would be great for the Grizzlies. I mean, you get a stud.
Jaren gives them, like, I hate Jaren offensively, but he's a damn good defender. So I mean,
But you would get a stud in Austin
honestly,
Reeves.
oh, I
So,
know we
and you
would. It
get
would be.
more. Like
I
you're
think it would be
obviously not
fairly
gonna.
even.
You'll probably get Austin Reeves plus maybe Dolan Connect or somebody like that too. Like they throw that in.
Yeah.
But really, the three teams I wanted to touch on was first the Celtics. That's a shocking loss to the Pacers. Illegal screen or not, you can't lose to that Pacers team. And then the Lakers, you lose to an atrocious Kings team. Obviously, bounce back against a poor Hawks team, but still, you got to figure it out. I mean, you've got the arguably top two, top three player of all time on your team, plus Luka Doncic. Like, you got to figure it out. Even though Austin Reeves isn't there, got to start figuring it out. And then obviously the Thunder getting a much needed win over the Spurs. It would have been crazy if the Spurs swept them, but I still am not. I'm still thinking the Thunder are going to continue to regress because I wasn't overly impressed. I didn't think the Spurs played that well. And then the team that is red hot right now, the Timberwolves, are scoring the ball at a crazy number. Um, Ant is continuing, since his comeback has been great. I love this. I really do like this Timberwolves team, and I think they'll make a push in the West here coming up. But this could be the end of the road for Giannis in Milwaukee.
I agree. And I don't know if y'all saw Jaren's Instagram story about time flying by. So
Dude,
I don't know if that's about him. I don't know if that's about Ja.
Look, I'm gonna tell you about Grizzly. They're like have the IQ of a fifth grader. Like they post the stupidest stuff on Instagram that makes no sense. So you have to take that with a grain of salt. Like I know I'm like completely blind, but like they are retarded. I mean, like straight up, they are so stupid. Like, yeah. So take that with a grain of salt. It doesn't probably mean anything.
PJ Tour finally opens up this weekend in Hawaii. I always love this tournament. The Sony Open is a very tournament to watch. Not a lot of huge hitters in it, but we have some big players. Who do we think's going to win? I'm going to go with El Captain, Keegan Bradley, dude. He really finished last season very well. Honestly, was deserving a Ryder Cup spot by himself. I think he gets the season going off well, on a hot start. Starts off 2026 on the right step. He's nearing kind of the end of his prime in terms of golf standards, and I think he's going to have a good run this year. So I'm going to go with Keegan Bradley to win the Sony Open in Hawaii. Luke, you went with Young Gun.
Yeah, no, Ben Griffin, he started off amazing last year. And I think he probably kind of does sort of the same thing until we get some majors where he didn't play as well. But I think Ben Griffin wins this tournament just strictly because he played so well last year in the beginning. I think he continues that.
Chase.
I've got Hideki Matsuyama. I think he's played, he ended the season really well last year. And then on top of it, he is arguably one of the top three players in this tournament. He also historically has done really well in Hawaii. He won the Sony Open in 2022, and he's placed pretty high in Hawaii over his entire career. And with his improvements in his approach play over recently. I mean, obviously you guys know approach play and putting is really huge in this Open. So I think that I think he's going to get it done this weekend.
Yeah, it was kind of my piggyback off Keegan Bradley. I think he putts very well. I think that's going to translate onto this tournament. Again, your approach shots and your putting in the Sony Open in Hawaii period are very big. It's not really. It's a pretty driver friendly course. I think most of the guys will find the fairway. It'll be about who is able to score when it comes to your short game. The PDC is back. The Bahrain Darts Masters. We have our picks. In these Masters tournaments, it typically, you expect Luke Littler to win. It typically does not play out that way. And I was kind of flip-flopping. Stephen Bunting won this tournament last year, and I think he could get it done. But I think Michael Van Gerwen is just so due to get back in the win column in terms of the PDC that I'm going to take Michael Van Gerwen to win the Bahrain Darts Masters. Luke, you're going with the runner-up of the World Darts.
Yeah, no, I think he's going to, like you said, there's no way Luke Littler continues to dominate, you would think. And I think Gian Van Veen is going to end up winning this tournament. He played super well in the World Dart Championships. I think he continues that and wins this.
Chase, you're going with the nuke.
I mean, this was a free pick coming off his, World Dart Championship win. So, I mean, he's so dominant for being so young. It's kind of like, I don't want to compare him across sports, but I mean, it was just like, when Mahomes was coming up, after Brady kind of left the AFC, he's just inevitable. Luke Littler's going to be there at the end of, the Masters. And I'm not saying he's going to win. picked him to win, but he's going to be there at the end, no question about it. And I expect him to continue his little run here.
You want to hear my hot take?
Go ahead, give me your hot
I
take.
think he gets bounced in the first round. He plays Paul Lim, who plays at a very slow pace. Paul Lim is also a former world champion, I believe. He's like 70 years old. But Paul Lim was able to get a win over a ranked opponent in his first round at the World Darts Championships. And it's because the pace of play throws off the opponent so much that I think Littler could get bounced because I also don't think he's taking this very much as seriously as he did the World Arts Championship. So, I mean, that's a little money line sprinkle tomorrow. Watch out for Paul Lim, guys. For the first time ever, we're doing picks. EPL match day 22. We are starting off with the Manchester Derby. How else would you like it? 6:30 a.m. Eastern or Central Time on the kickoff. I'm alone here, which is honestly surprising. I just think Manchester United has just been atrocious as of late, and I think that's going to continue. This is a Man City team that is kind of, as some people say with Luke Littler, inevitable. 13-4-4 on the year. You can get him at plus 100 on the money line. I could absolutely see this being a draw, as this is such a very tightly contested game usually. But Manchester City, going on the road in Old Trafford, going to take down Man United. Chase, I'll let you go, and then Luke.
So,
and the producer went with Man United.
Yeah. So historically, Manchester United, Manchester City is usually split. It's usually one win to City, one win to United over the last little bit of time. Old Trafford is still hard to play at. Yes, it's lost the appeal over the last couple of years. My club, Manchester United, is in shambles, and I'm homing a little bit here. I'm homing because I would love to see Manchester United win, but the good news for Manchester United, they got a new manager and Michael Carrick, who has done a good job with Middlesbrough, former player at United. He's going to bring back some attacking football. They get back Brian Mbeumo and Amad Diallo from AFCON, which is going to make a big difference in terms of attack. And I think this is a different Manchester United team than we've seen over the last couple weeks. However, Manchester City is rolling right now. With Holland, their new signing, Semenyo has been balling. Ryan Cherky to Johnny Reinders, Phil Foden. I mean, this Man City attack is incredible. I think there's going to be some goals scored in this game. I would probably, if I was a betting man, I would put money on a draw here, maybe 2-2, 3-3. But I'm homing. I can't pick against Manchester United in the Derby, so I'm going to go with United here.
Luke, you pick what Chase picked, didn't you?
No, kinda. This is a rivalry match, right?
Yes.
Yeah. See, I do actually remember Chase said something about their coach getting fired. No one's thinking they're going to win this game. They're going to beat them. I don't know why.
Yes, Luke.
That's my take. That's my take.
I love it.
Next, yeah, I know he does. He's eating that shit up. Chelsea versus Brentford. We're all in Chelsea except the producer. And my reasoning for this is that Brentford's been red hot. I think their form is due to die off, especially getting Chelsea at home. I mean, you had a tough but tight loss against Arsenal last time out. And then just Chelsea just hasn't been in good form. Draw, loss, win, loss. I think this is a good Chelsea team. They need to be in European contention in terms of the EPL table. So I like Chelsea to get back on the right track here against a good Brentford team. But I think this is going to be a good Chelsea win at home. Chase, you agree?
I agree 100%. I think Brentford's form dies off whenever you play a big six club like these mid-table teams like Brentford. It's hard to go in and get a win. And I love what Liam Rossonert has been doing so far at Chelsea. They're playing good football. They gave Arsenal a run for their money today. So, and that was without Cole Palmer. I don't know if he's playing this weekend, but I do anticipate Chelsea to win this one. I think it'll be close to 1, maybe 1-0. It'll be a close game, but I do have the Blues in this one.
Luke, you're around with Chelsea.
I actually know who Cole Palmer is, so that is the only reason I picked Chelsea.
Absolutely. We have the West London Derby. Tottenham Hotspur at home against West Ham. Me and the producer on Hotspur, which is my EPL team. I'm a Wycombe Wanderers fan, but we're not going to be covering League One anytime soon, I'm pretty sure. Luke, you're on West Ham, and Chase with a draw. I just one, I'm absolutely homing here, but two, neither of these teams are in really good form. I can totally see this being a 1-1 draw, but I think Tottenham Hotspur scores late, and gets a win, a much needed win to get back on the right track against a really, really struggling West Ham team. I'll go to the middle first before Luke. Chase, you think it's a draw?
I do think it's a draw. This is a derby matchup. Like we get two derbies this weekend, which is phenomenal. And usually there's not a lot in a derby game just because it's a rivalry. Obviously, Tottenham should objectively win this game on paper. They have a better team, and with their signing of Conor Gallagher, I don't know if he'll feature this weekend, but Tottenham objectively is a better team than West Ham. However, West Ham always turns up in the West London Derby, so I completely agree with you, Will. I do think it's going to be 1-1, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tottenham won this one.
But you went with West Ham.
It's only because I know their logo. Home team. Home teams win games.
They're on the road. So in soccer, it's flipped.
Shit.
I knew that would throw you off so hard. It's messed up on betting too. It's flipped in betting. I've messed up on that regard before. Leeds United takes on Fulham Football Club. And I'm gonna stop asking Luke for analysis. But Luke took Fulham here. Chase is on a draw. Me and producer on Leeds. I'm doing this one based off Leeds lost 1-0 last time out against Fulham. Two, I mean, Leeds has really just kind of been on the edge. They've kind of been edging their fans a little bit. No homo. Draws against Sunderland, Liverpool, and Man United. You lost to Newcastle, but Newcastle's a solid team. And again, this is another team in Fulham that I think their form is due to die off just a little bit. You're traveling to Leeds. I think they get a nice, solid 2-1 victory over Fulham. Chase, you like a draw?
I love your reasoning, actually. I do think Leeds have played some really good football over the last couple weeks. However, Fulham has been on form, and I I don't think that there is Leeds have just not been able to quite get it done due to I mean, I just don't think they have enough teeth up front to really get it done. However, Brendan Aronson has been great for Leeds, so I love seeing an American do well. But I do think this is going to be a 1-1, 2-2 draw. I don't think that there's going to be a lot in this game. It's going to be close, tightly contested, and I think it ends in a draw.
Breaking news: John Morant has purchased a $3 million home in Miami. Not a lot of analysis, Luke. Well, I need you for this next one. Not a lot of analysis needed for this next match as Liverpool hosts Burnley. What I want each of us to do, just to see if anyone hits it on the head. Score predictions. I'm going to go 5-0 Liverpool here.
I just picked Liverpool because I know their logo, but I'm gonna go 4-0.
4-0 Liverpool. Chase, what do you think?
All right, y'all are a little bit testy on that. I'm gonna disagree. I think it's gonna be 2-1 Liverpool because Burnley actually played really well against Manchester United last time out. I know it's United, but Liverpool has not been that much better than United this season. I do think Liverpool gets it done, but I think it's gonna be close. I think 2-1 to Liverpool.
Yeah, I just don't see Burnley being able to keep up with Liverpool's pace at all. But again, I get your reasoning.
That's fair. That's fair. Liverpool has
Back.
been strong. They've been the most disappointing team for spending $500 million in the transfer window this summer to be where they're at right now in the table. I mean, you know, I've been strongly. They've been the most surprising team in a bad way for the Prem this season, and they have played better as of late, so they'll get the win. But I think it'll be still pretty close.
And Luke's going to take a little break, guys. He just found the John Morant news, not taking it well. We have a very exciting matchup in my mind coming up. Sunderland against Crystal Palace. Both these teams desperately need 3 points to get back into Euro contention. Chase doesn't think either team gets 3 points. The producer and Luke are on Sunderland. Chase on a draw, and I'm on Crystal Palace. And honestly, I think this is just because Crystal Palace, it's just been a terrible last 5 for them. I mean, you lost against Tottenham, you drew with Fulham, you lost 2-0 to Newcastle, drew with Aston Villa, and then had the absolute blunder and lost in the FA Cup against Macclesfield. You're on the road, I know, but I think this Crystal Palace team is way better in their form of showing, and I think they're going to be able to get a bounce back win against Sunderland, who is a solid club and has been playing decent as of late, especially with that draw against Man City on New Year's Day. But I do think Crystal Palace gets back on the right track here against Sunderland. Chase, you like a draw, though?
Well, Sunderland has been the probably the surprise team of the season, considering what they were coming into this year. Granit Xhaka has been great for them in the midfield, and this I really do like this Sunderland team. However, I agree with you. I love Crystal Palace. I love their coach Oliver Glasner. I wanted to pick Palace here. The only fact is they are away from home. They are going to Sunderland in this game, and Sunderland has a great fan base over there. So, I'm split on this one. I think this one's going to end up in a draw. I think this is going to be the best game on the slate, though. It is going to be a cracking game. But I do think Crystal Palace is going to show up, and I'd like to see them bounce back from a really rough run of form. So I wouldn't be surprised if Palace won this one.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do it here just so I can say we're first. John Morant will be traded to the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat will be acquiring John Morant. Arsenal against Nottingham Forest. Luke went with the draw here, which I respect because I do think Nottingham Forest, despite their poor form and really a poor season overall, could give Arsenal a tad bit of a game. However, I think this is going to be a 1-1.
They suck.
I think this is well. Now, here's the thing. I don't think you're far off. I think it's a 1-1 game heading in maybe to the 75th minute, and I think Arsenal's going to be able to net two late, making it 3-1. This is an Arsenal team that is just in great form with 4 wins out of the last 5 and drawing against Liverpool. They have shown their ability to score. I've got a 3-1 win for Arsenal against Nottingham Forest on the road. Again, on the road though, and you know how these EPL games go. I mean, the ultras are unbelievable, and I love the chance, but I do think Arsenal is able to get the job done late, and I think Nottingham Forest does hold their own for the majority of the game, though. Chase.
Completely agree. Actually, Luke, that's a better take than you realize. Arsenal tends to play teams close, even though that they pulled out wins lately. Arsenal just over their history has been known to bottle a title race, and Man City has been heating up lately, absolutely cooking. I could easily see them dropping points to Nottingham Forest. It's a very Arsenal thing to do. And they have not been scoring a lot of open play goals. Granted, they did today against Chelsea, but prior to that in the Prem, they had only I think had one goal that was scored by Arsenal. They had 4 own goals and 1 penalty in their previous 4 games. They struggled against Liverpool last week in a 0-0 tie. Their offense, I mean, just going forward offensively, they are not at the levels you would expect them to be. That defense is insane. I think Nottingham Forest keeps it close, and I think it could be a 1-1, 0-0 game going into the last couple minutes, but I do think this Arsenal team has just too much talent up top to lose this one. So I am going to go with Arsenal, but I think it's going to be close, very close.
I do think they push hard towards the end of this game.
Oh, 100%. 100%. They've gotten so many last 10-minute winners this season or to draw. It's been crazy. They've been pulling it out late, so
I think this next game is honestly a little bit of a sleeper, and thankfully it is on the USA Network on Sunday at 8 a.m. Wolverhampton Wanderers, granted 7 points against Newcastle United. Wolverhampton at home, but this is a Wolves team that has looked better as of late. Again, it's Shrewsbury Town, but 6-1, and then you drew with Everton and then beat West Ham 3-0. I think you're just facing the wrong team here if you're Wolverhampton. Luke does have a draw. The rest of us here have a win for Newcastle United. Newcastle bounces back after 2-0 loss to Manchester City, gets back on the right side of things, and I think they get a 2-0 win against Wolverhampton. They're not going to be able to put one in the net against Newcastle. And I do think these 2 goals come in the first half, and I think Newcastle kind of just parks the bus and be able to play a conservative second half. Chase, what do you think?
Wolves has played great over the last couple weeks, considering how awful, atrocious they were to start the season. They have turned it up over the last couple weeks. And, drawing with Manchester United, getting a massive result against West Ham. But again, I think Newcastle is starting to reach, their a good level of form. I love what Voltemide's done up there up front. And Anthony Gordon is the most underrated winger in the Prem, or 10, whatever he plays. He can play anywhere up front. Phenomenal talent. I just don't think Wolves' little good run of form will continue. Newcastle will get the win here. Eddie Howe's side is just they're too good.
The geek bar.
Yeah, we just got a Snapchat story from Chandler Jackson ripping the Geek Bar in Mobile ahead of tonight's game. I absolutely want to change my pick now. But Aston Villa hosting Everton. Aston Villa has been unbelievable this season. 43 points, right in UEFA Champions League contention. However, I do think this is a rising Everton team in terms of a team that is really trying to fight out of this relegation battle. Chase has Aston Villa. I'll let him start off. Me and Luke have draws, and the producer went with Everton outright. Chase, why does Villa get it done?
I actually really like what Everton's done this season. This is a really good Everton side. However, Villa has just, I mean, Unai Emery has this team playing so well. I don't think they drop points to Everton considering their run of form over the last couple games. I think Villa needs to win this to stay in the title race. If they lose this, they're pretty much out of it. So I would assume that Villa would win this game, but I could easily see a draw as well.
Yeah, I would withdraw here just because I think Everton is going to catch Aston Villa sleeping. I would say like 85th plus minute. I think this is going to be a 2-1 game where Villa starts to kind of park the bus, and then Everton kind of goes with maybe like a 8-man, 9-man forward attack, trying to get into the net to get at least a result against Aston Villa. I've got it as a 2-2 draw. I do think Everton has been playing better as of late. And this is a Everton team that has exceeded my expectations, at least so far in the EPL this year. I thought they were absolutely going to be in the bottom of the relegation battle, but a good form from Everton as of late. I do think Aston Villa just slips. I don't think this absolutely ends their title hopes. I think 1 point they're going to be okay with in the long run, as long as they're able to keep the outstanding form they've had as of late. But I just don't think the winning ways for Aston Villa will be able to continue here in terms of getting an outright win. I think it's going to be 1 point to each side as we head to Monday Night Football, but in England. Brighton Hove Albion will be hosting Bournemouth AFC. I think this is honestly kind of a toss-up in terms of who's going to win. Producer and Luke on Bournemouth, me and Chaser on Brighton. And this is strictly because I think Brighton is honestly kind of starting to find their form as of late. They're at home hosting AFC Bournemouth. They got a huge win, the FA Cup against Manchester United. And then in terms of the Premier League, you drew Man City and West Ham. Now, granted, West Ham, not a great club this year, but a close 2-1 loss against Arsenal and a 2-0 win against Burnley. Disregard the AFC Bournemouth loss against Newcastle in the FA Cup. It was in penalties. However, Newcastle's a great team, and Bournemouth hung in there the entire time with them. So I do think this is a very close game. I'm going to go 1-0 Brighton. Chase, what do you think?
I actually agree with you. Brighton played Manchester United great last weekend in the FA Cup. Down some players. They are not at full fitness right now, but this Brighton team is sneakily can usually get some results. Danny Welbeck is played phenomenal this year, and Matoma on the left wing is just he is one of the most underrated players in the Prem. Bournemouth has looked good this season, but I think Brighton gets it done, and I think this is going to be a great game, but I do think Brighton wins in the end.
Well, that concludes our EPL talk, and we're going to end our episode with hot and not. My hot is gambling. I'm on a generational heater right now. I just can't seem to have a losing night. Even when I was down bad last night, threw a parlay together before I went to bed, woke up, and I was back even. So gambling has been absolutely on fire for me. And then, all right, I told Luke I wouldn't explain it to him until now. Just leave him a little bit of a cliffhanger next Monday. Now, next Monday being MLK Day, the missus is on break. So I will be in Auburn. I asked off for work on Monday, and I got it. But it means I have to work Tuesday through Friday because I work 4 days a week. I usually have Friday off, give myself a 3-day weekend. The course is closed on Monday now because of the weather incoming. So I asked off for no reason, and I will have to work essentially an extra day. So that is my not. Luke, what is your hot not?
That is brutal.
I got that news today, and my boss was smiling. I mean, we're all I'm boys with the guys up there, and he goes, so close Monday, and I was like, are you kidding me, dude? Luke, what's your hot not?
First, I want to say John Morant purchased that home back in November, so we're okay again. Anyways, my hot is working out. I haven't worked out in about like a year and a half, 2 years, just because I've been working so much, and I started working out again. Sucks that I have to wake up at 4 a.m. to do it, but I'm working out again. And then my not is the new transfer portal proposal by all the coaches. Playing 9 games.
That's the red shirt proposal.
You're
good. You're good. You're good.
That's definitely what I meant. The red shirt rule. Playing 9 games is essentially
playing a season.
Yeah, it's playing a season. If you have a freshman who's a stud, you can take him, not play him the first 2 games in the SEC, and you'll have an 8-game. It's an 8-game conference.
It's now a 9-game conference. So you can play your full conference schedule.
Yeah, you can just play the full conference schedule and not play against the Mercers and all that crap. Which, I mean, it's totally bull crap. And even if you have like a big game, like say you play Notre Dame, you can sit them against. Say South Carolina's bad. You can sit them against South Carolina. It's bullcrap. That should not be a thing. It should be 4 games is fine.
I think 4 games is beautiful.
I think it's perfectly fine. If that gets changed, I'm gonna be pretty heated.
Chase, you're hot not.
Well, school's back, which I hate, but this is my last semester of my bachelor's degree, so I'm grateful that now I only have this semester and then a year and a half of a master's degree, and I'm done with school forever. So I cannot wait for that. But my nod is Real Madrid. They lost to their rivals Barcelona in the Supercopa on Sunday, and then fired their coach yesterday, hired their academy director, and then today they lose in the Copa del Rey. They lose to a second division side 3-2, and it knocks them out. So they really only have a chance for 2 trophies this season, either the league or the Champions League, which Champions League is not looking likely right now, considering their position. And they're going to have to catch Barcelona in the league. So it could be another season for Real Madrid without a trophy. And that's just when you have the amount of talent that they have, just definitely not it right now. They're going to have to figure it out. There's a lot of issues going on in that dressing room. So we'll have to see what happens.
Absolutely. It's been an absolute mess in Madrid. And that'll conclude episode 35 of Swiss Army Sports. This has been Will, Luke, and Chase. Until Monday, when we give you a recap of we give you a on-day preview of the National Championship game, recap of the NFL playoffs, NHL, NBA, and much more. Until then, have a good night.